Hello, drum school and drummer friends. It's Alan here. Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome to this lesson on the hi-hat techniques that you need to know to play your grade 1 rock school pieces. If you check my channel, there's a short talk through on each one of the 12 pieces from the Rock School 2018 syllabus book. But what I did was, whenever we came to the open hi-hat parts, I said that we were going to do it as a separate lesson. This is what this is, rather than spending time within each one of the pieces dealing with the different techniques that we need. We're now going to look at all of the techniques for all of those pieces. If you want to check out the lesson on the short talk lesson, the talk through, then you need to go to my channel, and they're available there if you subscribe. Also, if you go to my channel, you'll see that there are playthroughs of all the Rock School Grade 1 2018 pieces there, and you can check those out and make sure that I'm playing them right, okay? So anyway, back to what we're going to be doing here, which is all the various hi-hat techniques, and there's a good handful of them actually. So at Grade 1, we are going to be learning how to play the open hi-hat on the and of 4. If we're playing quavers on the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, that's in quite a few of the pieces. We're also going to be learning how to open it on the and of 1. All right, a couple of pieces are like that. Another technique we're going to be learning is what I'll call a bark. It's a form of a bark where we'll play the snare drum and open the hi-hat at the same time. A couple of pieces use that. Also, there is an open hi-hat on the and of 4, but this time we'll play the bass drum. So it's like the bass drums playing, going down, and the hi-hats opening, coming up. That's on one of the pieces there. And also the and of 2 and the and of 4. All right, these are all very popular ways to open your hi-hat and embellish those rhythms, add a bit of spice to what can sometimes be a very straightforward rhythm. Adding in the open hi-hat can really add to it. And then the final one there, we're going to look at the and of 3 and the and of 4, which occurs in one of the pieces. All right, so let's go back to the first one, the and of 4. This appears in the Midnight Hour and Liberation. Remember, we're talking about Rock School, Grade 1, 2018 syllabus. In the Midnight Hour, Liberation, Billie Jean, and there's something else that happens in Billie Jean as well. Yeah, Kaiser Roll, West Coast Rollin', and Deep Trouble. So if you're working your way through any of those pieces, this is one of the techniques that you want to think about, that you want to work on. Okay. First of all, what I normally recommend is when we're practicing, when we're playing, try to play with the tip of the stick on the hi-hat. Try not to play with the neck or the shoulder all the time. I know that if you were to come and see me play, you would see me do a bit of both from time to time. And you might say, if I'm playing like that, oh, but you said you should play with the tip. I think that, number one, it gets good posture. All right, helps you to keep your sticks in the right place for playing kit. And whenever you're learning, the best place really is to learn to play with the bead or the tip of the stick on the hi-hat. Because sometimes the danger is we play like this and our hands can go into the wrong place as far as our posture is concerned. So keep it like that for now. Plus the fact that that is a little sweeter than that, all right? But anyway, that's in one sense that's a minor point, I think. But for Grade 1, certainly learn to play like this. If you learn to play with the tip of the stick, you'll always be able to go down if you want that heavier, rockier sound to play. You'll be able to do that. But if you do it the other way around and you only ever practice like this, it's harder to lift your hand up and get a good posture and also to play with the tip of the stick. Yeah? So keep that in mind. Right, the and of 4. This is the first one. So we're going to play quavers. Do it slowly. 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so if you're practicing or working through any of those pieces, that I mentioned, you'll need this, the and of 4. Now, the way I like to think about it is, and this time we'll incorporate bass from the snare drum. 3, 4. The way I like to think about it is our 2 feet, that's the hi-hat, and that's our bass drum. If you're left-handed, it's going to be swapped around, isn't it? But that's the hi-hat, and that's the bass drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And this is what I call the mechanics. The mechanics, or the movement, okay? Rather than thinking we're just doing this and whatever, let's think about it like mechanically moving. After all, the hi-hat, the actual hi-hat is a mechanical device, isn't it? Got a foot plate, a pedal, springs, got this rod that holds the cymbals together. It's mechanical. So think about it like mechanics to start with, all right, before we start thinking about making it more musical. I'm quite happy with the students if they've got the mechanics right, even if it's just not very precise just at this moment in time. But if they can get that right, they can tidy it up, turn it into music in due time. All right? So think about your bass drum and 1. So it's almost like at the end of the bar and 1. Your left foot's coming up and your right foot's coming up as well to get ready to play the bass drum on beat 1 of the next bar. Okay? Because most of these, I think all of these at grade 1 have that. Won't always be the case, but most of them at the minute have that. So, in the Midnight Hour, Liberation, Billie Jean, yeah, Kaiser Roll, West Coast Rolling, and Deep Trouble. If you're working on any of those, you need to work on this. All right? Number 2, the and of 1. Thinking about mechanics again. This appears, by the way, in Bend and Snap and West Coast Rolling. Thinking about mechanics again, we'll play our quavers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. All right, and if we play a beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So this time, it's not our feet that are helping us to apply this and be able to play this, but it's our left hand. So it's a bit like left hand and left foot. Remember that when you play that quaver and you close it on the next quaver, you're going to be playing the snare drum. All right? Left hand, left foot. And that's the mechanics of playing the and of 1 that appears in Bend and Snap and in West Coast Rolling. All right? I think that's enough said about that. Okay, so let's look at the third one. We're going to call this one a bark. Okay, it's a kind of a bark where we strike the snare drum and open the hi-hat at the same time. This one appears in Jangle Road and in Monkey Fusic. If you're working on either of those 2 pieces, you'll need to work on this here, all right? In Jangle Road, we have, on the second page, I think this is section C, what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up from the bottom. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then into the next line. All right, that's not the right tempo, by the way. You'd need to check that. Tempo is 115, but it's just to play it a bit slower to give you an idea of what's happening. So in this case, what we're doing is we're striking the snare drum and we're going to open the hi-hat. And in this particular case in Jangle Road, we're going to let that sizzle for just 1 beat. It's a crotchet before we go into the next bar. All right, so just do that bar on its own. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then in context, 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1 and 3. So you got to keep counting. Make sure you don't play any extra quavers or any extra notes in the hat. There isn't any. You're just simply going to do that 4, 1. So if you want to do something like that to help keep you in time, perfectly fine. Lift your stick up as long as you make sure you don't come down until the next bar in Jangle Road. That's fine. Now, Jangle Road, that's a crotchet. In Monkey Fusic, if I remember correctly, it's a quaver. All right, so we've got to be got to watch what we're playing here, okay? Because it's a fast and furious fill at the end of Monkey Fusic. 1 and 2. Now I think actually there isn't any instruction to close the hi-hat. So actually that makes it a little bit easier because we can leave it to sizzle there just in the same way as we're doing in Jangle Road, all right? But at the end of Monkey Fusic, you definitely have one of those barks. And yeah, just let it sizzle. I really don't think that there is anything there. Certainly I'm not being asked to close it on the next quaver of the bar. If you did do that, I don't think it'd be too much trouble with that, but just let it sizzle, just the same way as we're doing in Jangle Road, and it'll be fine, okay? So that's our bark, all right? If you're now working on Deep Trouble, this is our fourth one. Deep Trouble, one of my favourite pieces in this grade 1 piece, and certainly with my students here as well. What we have on the second page, the second bar of section C, all right? What we have is another 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the and of 4. However, this time we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right, you hear the difference? Okay, let's go back to our mechanics. The right foot is going down and the left foot is coming up. So it's, I like to think about it like a piston. Psh, psh, yeah. Right foot down, left foot up. All right? Just like that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And that's in Deep Trouble. So that's how we're going to execute that, play that. Again, think about it mechanically before we think about turning it into music. All right, so that's the approach that you take when you're working on that one. The fifth one, we're going to be looking at Billie Jean. So if you're working on Billie Jean, this is applicable to you. And I'm going to lift the book here and find it because we are, there we go, in section C of Billie Jean, on the second line of C. What we've got is an open hi-hat on the and of 2 and the and of 4. So we've done the and of 4, let's look at the and of 2. So it's actually mechanically the same. So that's why I use that phrase, let's think about it mechanically. Because it applies here, it's the same, it's just in a different part of the bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Yeah? 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. And our feet are doing exactly the same as if it was just in the and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right, so if you've been working on the very first one that appears in all that big long list there of Rock School Grade 1 pieces, you'll be able to play the and of 2 as well. Just make sure that you control that to get that really nice and funky there. Okay? All right, the other thing about Billie Jean that you'll notice in the bar right beside it, we're going to put together all of these techniques that we're working on, which is to open the hat on the and of 1, the and of 2, the and of 3, and the and of 4. So the and of 2 and the and of 4 we've just discovered are just the same mechanically as if it was just on the and of 4. The and of 1 we've just looked at in bend and snap and in West Coast rolling. Okay, the and of 1. And the only other one then is the and of 3. All right, but the and of 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and is the same as, mechanically speaking, the and of 1. Okay, do you get my drift? All right, so the and of 2 and the and of 4 are very similar. The and of 3 is the same as the and of 1 from a mechanical point of view. So again, all of these, if they're new to you, practice them slowly. Think about how your feet, how your hands are moving before you try to put it all together. All right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's the bar before D. the bar before D in Billie Jean. And that is our technique that we're going to use to do that. All right, so the very last one we're going to look at is opening the hi-hat on the and of 3 and the and of 4. Okay, we should be able to do that if we've been able to do those other ones like Billie Jean, but maybe you're not working on Billie Jean as one of your performance pieces, and maybe you're looking at this one separately. So anyway, it's the same idea as what we've been looking at for all of these. The mechanics of this is simply to be able to play, and in this case, West Coast rolling, that, all right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. And as I said to you before, the and of 3, opening the and of 3 mechanically is the same as the and of 1, and the and of 4 we discussed right at the start. The only difference in this piece here is probably just the 4 to the floor, the 4 crotchets on the bass drum. So that might be a little bit different. 2, 3, 4, and 1. All right? But that's essentially it. And again, think about it mechanically. Our feet are going to be basically moving together. We're lifting our left foot, getting ready to play. And 3, 4, and 1. All right? To play that. So that's the last one. Hopefully that's going to help you with those hi-hat techniques in your grade 1 performance pieces. And most of the pieces, I think there's only a couple that don't have any open hi-hat techniques, but most of the other pieces do. And some of them are a wee bit tricky, so take your time, try to play with the beat, try to get that sweeter sound just for now. And I hope you have fun working on that. Hope you enjoy working on that. Hope it helps you. And in the meantime, remember that if you enjoyed watching any of these, please remember to give me a thumbs up, especially if they've helped you with your playing. And I look forward to seeing you on the next lesson.